Hey everyone. Today I'll be listening to Morgue, my entry to the horror fiction podcast anthology, Someone Dies in This Elevator. Please enjoy this terrifying standalone tale to kick off the spooky season, and please make sure to read the content warnings. You'll also be hearing a very brief promo for Becker Tales, a horror fiction anthology audio drama inspired by the work of author Gustavo Adolfo Becker. Each tale will be a modern queer retelling of one of his leyendas, spanning a few episodes, all of them fully self-contained. Thank you, happy Halloween, and enjoy!
Literary classics are always bound to be brought back in modern adaptations. However, not all of them quite manage to breach the language barrier. This was the case for author Gustavo Adolfo Becker. Until now. Join us in a modern, queer interpretation of his anthology, starting September 27th with the first story of Becker Tales, Emerald Stair.
Come with me. I know you want to.
Good morning, Mahal. I got you breakfast. And a prairie oyster.
Are you sure you're not a psychic?
Doesn't take a psychic to remember last night was your anniversary of emancipation. Probably not a good showing for a man of the cloth to show up to sermons with a monster of a hangover.
To be fair, a better priest wouldn't be receiving hangover cures from his clandestine lover.
Well, I think you're a wonderful priest, and so does the parish. Not just a shepherd of a flock, but a man you could have a drink with. Though perhaps not more than, what was it, 10?
Oh, who knows? I lost track by the 9th.
I wish I could have come see you, but Monsieur Moreau needed me to look after him on a difficult moon.
And you say he's not a werewolf?
I can neither confirm nor deny the nature of my employer's condition.
A vampire, then, since you're mostly free to roam in the daytime?
The man loves the sunlight, but where I come from, that's no indication of humanity. All I can say is that it's been a nice change to care for the living instead of the dead.
Sounds like a story there.
Oh, sure. Maybe one you can feed the beasts when they're slim pickings. I'll say, the setup wasn't very fun, but the outcome... wonderfully gruesome.
I thought you said you only ever killed your husband.
By my own hand, I said. But shh, eat your breakfast. And listen. Before I became Monsieur Moreau's caretaker, I was a nurse back in the Philippines. You know, no life, no time, just work. It was the kind of life where I'm grateful I survived it, but I'm not grateful for having lived it. Asking someone to be grateful for having the best years of your life stolen from you by incompetent people wringing you dry until you have no choice but to leave home to find a better life? Anyway. During the Duterte admin, there was this escalation of violence that led to a lot of gunshot patients hitting the hospital. Some survived, others didn't. It was hell to deal with either way, and I found myself carting bodies down to the morgue on more than one occasion. Big, small, really small. I got very well acquainted with the elevator down to that level of the hospital, so much so that I was expected to assist with the morgue workers when staff shortages hit us extra hard. I spent a lot of time down there. I can't lie, it was nice sometimes. Quiet. Not as hectic as dealing with the living. Not that it was better, mind. No amount of quiet will ever make you forget what it feels like to place a dead 3-year-old on a slab and roll them into a cooler after some unpunished policeman shot her in a drug raid. Oh, but it was cold. That was pretty great. Being cold was a goddamn luxury in the Philippines, and it made soul-crushing depression a lot less terrible when you're not sweating through your scrubs every day. I remember one night, when I was getting work done for the day, processing a couple of EJK victims. Sorry, EJK means extrajudicial killings. It's what we call people getting murdered by cops or by people we're pretty damn sure were cops but in plainclothes. Once I finished marking down COD, cause of death, I remember packing up and leaving. The morgue was quiet, but never fully silent, with the rumble of the air conditioning. It was brightly lit, too. I was disturbed by what I had to do, but rarely scared. The walk down the hall to the elevator was a different story. The lighting wasn't as good. Still, when the noise returned, you could hear people walking above you, and know that you were never really alone, especially in a Manila hospital. Too much, too fast, every day, all day. I stepped into the elevator, slow old doors, even if it thankfully didn't take forever to move between floors. I was so busy checking myself over and trying to remember what I needed to do when I got home that I didn't think much of it when someone held the door and got on with me. It was a kid, skinny tall, but no more than 10 years old. He looked nervous, like he wasn't supposed to be there, and I realized that no child ought to be in the morgue, especially not at this hour. Oh, anong ginagawa mo dito? I asked him what he was doing here, trying to be a bit strict so he knew why he shouldn't be wandering around alone. But he looked so distressed that I couldn't keep up the tone. I asked him more kindly what was wrong, and he said, in the smallest voice, that he was lost, looking for his mama. Oh, sige. Hanapin natin. I took his hand, looking down at how small he was, when I really looked. That was when I looked further down, from his ratty clothes to his feet. Bare feet, with one toe tagged, string and card paper to identify him. And when I looked back at his face, I recognized it. It looked so different post-mortem. Only when I knew what he was did I see the blood all over his clothes, from where he'd been shot. A stray bullet in another successful drug raid. My heart started beating faster, but he looked at me, and I just held his hand tighter. I asked him where his mama was, and he said she was supposed to go home, but she got too tired. He seemed to know exactly where to go. He just needed someone, an adult, to bring him there. So we both stepped off the elevator onto the main floor and walked until he got to some old, rusted seats outside of some doctor's offices. There was a woman there, younger than me. She looked so tired. There was still blood under her fingernails, even after she must have washed up. New clothes, but there was brown crust in her hair, and she rested her head against the wall, holding a school bag that she clutched like a lifeline. She was so small. The little boy let go of my hand and sat by his mother, leaning on her and holding her hand. If you didn't see the blood, it'd just look like a mother and child sleeping together in a hospital hallway. I left them alone. I don't know what happened after that. Another night, I was so out of it that I realized I forgot my bag in the morgue and had to go back, even when I'd already gotten into the elevator. I mean, I tried to go back, but the elevator kept going up, not down. I don't know if it was just my imagination, but it felt like it was going forever, until I found the doors opening slowly on a darkened construction site. I was clearly high up, but not quite on the roof since I couldn't see the sky. It seemed to me like a new floor or an old one, storage or a parking lot. I saw trash, I saw scrap, I saw concrete bricks and dust-covered equipment. It looked like it had been abandoned a while ago, and I didn't know why the elevator brought me here. Then I heard something. Far away, at first. But I heard footsteps. Slow. Echoing. Then, running towards the door. I desperately pressed the close button, trying to breathe through my heart racing in my ears. The doors closed right as the running came close enough to touch, and something slammed into the metal. And then it was quiet, still, for a moment too long. Then the elevator started moving down once more, and I was able to breathe easier again. It brought me back down to the morgue. I didn't know what would happen if I got back into that elevator, so I took the stairs to the exit that night. I brought a rosary and wore a scapular to work every day after that. I didn't take the elevator for a few days. Not until... A policeman came to a morgue one night, along with the body he made. A teenager, 16 from our records. He was killed from multiple gunshots. One grazed his head enough to take a small fragment of the skull with it, but thankfully it didn't shatter the whole damn thing. No matter how much I saw day to day, I don't think I could have stood that. He died from shots in the back, going through the chest and stomach. The policeman demanded that we process his death as an accident, hitting his head from being too reckless, blunt force trauma. He told the examiner that the PNP wouldn't be very happy if he didn't follow orders. So what choice did he have? I kept my temper, kept my head down, and I decided that I'd accompany that policeman into the elevator that day. I heard someone asking to hold the door, so I did. A skinny young man, a teenager, in slippers and basketball shorts, slipped into the elevator, covered in sweat like he'd been running for his life. I looked at him, and he tilted his head at me. I looked down at his toe, and there it was. Looked back up, and saw the blood caking his black hair, covering him all down the back. He slowly raised his hand to his face, then put a finger to his lips. I nodded once and closed my eyes. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere at all.
Salamat, ate.
It said.
Ingat po.
And I heard the elevator doors open and stepped out onto the floor. Nobody else stepped with me. I opened my eyes and looked behind me just as the doors closed and saw the policeman looking down at the floor numbers, looking a bit confused. I was on the main floor, and though it was quieter in the evening, the hospital and its staff, its medical workers, were all still in full swing. I watched the elevator floors rise and rise until it reached the end, and the numbers began to flash and malfunction right before my eyes, before disappearing entirely. I sighed, saw a wet floor sign nearby, and moved it in front of the elevator doors. Then I went home early that day, clutching my scapular like a lifeline. I heard about it the next day from the examiner. He seemed strangely pleased, like he didn't even notice I'd gone home without finishing my checklist. Said the asshole who told him how to do his job, apparently, had a heart attack in the elevator. As he ranted about being forced to take the stairs yesterday, not sounding put off in the slightest, I examined the notes from yesterday and saw that he'd whited out the original COD, replacing it with an accurate report. Work went well. The examiner thanked me for making his life a lot easier. Told me he'd happily recommend me if I found a better place to be than among the dead. It's funny to think about. Someone died in that elevator, and it was one of the best days I ever had working at that hospital. You can use that when you don't have enough confessions to offer.
Don't you worry, I've got plenty to spare. But thank you. You're always so generous.
I don't think so. I just like seeing people take control of their own lives, even if they're not alive anymore. I was lucky enough to get that for myself after my husband. And you, after your father.
It doesn't make you any less generous, my love.
All right. If you're so taken by my generosity, go eat the breakfast I got you. Monsieur Moreau gave me the rest of the day off, so I'm all yours, barring your church duties.
Father Yamazaki is in charge at the Eucharist today. I should be free till 4. Then they need me at the hospital for a sick grandmother.
And now you'll know what to do if you run into a dead patient or end up on the wrong floor or see someone running towards you in the hospital hallway.
Do you want to accompany me?
All right. Someone Dies in This Elevator, Morgue, was written by Motzie Dapul and features Motzie Dapul as the interpreter and Nathan Lunsford as Father Corrhyn. Theme music by Trace Callahan. This episode is dedicated to Dr. Raquel Fortun.